region.
Alright, good morning to you, the viewer. It's a Friday, the 2nd into the month of August, which is also really running so fast because yesterday was the 1st and today is the 2nd, but many times we are talking about issues that are going to happen in our societies, and one of those is actually the issue pertaining human trafficking. Many people today go through human trafficking not knowing that they are being trafficked, and today we see people coming out to say, we are going to be giving your child scholarships, we are going to be giving your child employment opportunities, yet they are going to be falling victims as of what we call human trafficking or trafficking in persons. And that's why they want to make sure that you, the viewer watching us, it could be within Western Sub-region, in Bunyoro, in Buganda, in Lango, in Acholi, and the entire country and the world at large, because we are you can watch us anytime, and we do have people watch us overseas, and that's where we say you are most welcome onto these discussions. And I'm joined by officials from Uganda Police, men in uniform, and today we want to make sure that you, the viewer, gets to understand the crime and also the issues related to what we call trafficking in persons. And I'm joined by that is Afande Jimmy Anguyo Baiga, Inspector, Superintendent of Police, from Uganda Police on my right, and he is here, and he's not alone. And also really on my left is, I do have Inspector of Police Atiku Siraj, and they will be telling us more into that discussion here. But I want to start first things first to also let them greet you, the viewer, and we continue with the discussion. And I will start with Afande Baiga to be the first to also really introduce himself to you, the viewer. It could be your very first time to know them, but today we are going to be doing that. To make sure that you get to understand issues related to trafficking in persons. If you have any questions, feel free to keep them coming through on our comment section. We shall be delving into that later on. But for now, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning, our viewers. I am Superintendent of Police from Arua Regional Police Headquarters. I head the Department of Training, and I'm also gender forward person. I'm happy and glad to be with you here this morning.
All right, thank you. I also do have Inspector of Police Atiku Siraj. He is a legal officer also really, and he understands a lot of these issues. You're most welcome, Afande Siraj.
Thank you, sir. I head the Department of Legal and Human Rights Services at the region, and I mainly deal with the legal advice, the RPC, and also do community sensitization.
Okay. Now talking about human trafficking, many times we see people also really facing this challenge in Western Sub-region, where people are being duped that they're going to be getting employment opportunities, and one of those areas which we do understand has actually been causing human trafficking in Western Sub-region is the issue related to what we call opportunities. It could be in education, it could be in job sector. How is this human trafficking? Or else, maybe if you can briefly paint for us that image of what human trafficking is all about, so that that woman in Zombo who is watching us right now gets to understand what human trafficking is all about. Because somebody may be thinking human trafficking is not happening, and yet we see all over the world people are raising concern about human trafficking, and it continues to happen also within our societies. What is human trafficking in layman's language?
In layman's language, human trafficking is transfer. Transfer, transportation, and receiving of persons for purposes of gain. They exploit them for purpose of a gain. But in legal angle, human trafficking has basically 3 elements.
Okay.
That is recruitment, transportation, transfer, and receiving plus harboring. So, if these three or 4 elements are satisfied, then you have already committed an offense.
Okay.
And then the second important element, apart from the actions which I've just mentioned,
okay,
is the means. In the means, they use fraudulent means. They also use they also make promises, false promises, like for example, scholarships, job offers abroad, and also they make what they do. They make use of deception, force. People are forced, and others even deceive their parents and give them something for purposes of letting their children go abroad, okay, for scholarship, for jobs, or for education, and so on. That's what it basically means. Then the major purpose is exploitation. And this exploitation manifests itself in form of child labor, early child marriage, and then we have forced marriage, prostitution, forced sex, and these are happening in West Nile every day.
Okay.
So when that offense is committed, the penalty for it is 15 years imprisonment. This is trafficking in persons. And then there's an aggravated form of it. These aggravation factors are quite many. They're like 10. These aggravating factors include: one, if the victim is a child. The second one, if the victim is involved in, is used for commission of a crime by the perpetrator. And then if the offense is committed by a law enforcement officer or by a military officer. As I've told you, there are very many. So if it is an aggravating, the sentence for an aggravating offense is life imprisonment. And then we have the third offense, which is trafficking in children. If children are involved in, you are using them in commission of crime, and they are also used in their body parts and so on. They are killed, and the body parts are used for child sacrifice, for human organ cells, and so on and so on.
Okay.
That's an aggravating. That you commit that, and the sentence for that is death sentence.
Okay.
It's a very serious aspect of it.
I want to understand how dangerous is this activity in the courts of law. What are some of the punishments apart from the several sentences one person can be subjected to if they commit human trafficking? Because recently in Arua City we had one person who came here, and this person was suspected to be a human trafficker who came getting children, and say the children are going to be getting scholarship. But how dangerous is this activity? What message do you have for our parents who are out there waiting for these opportunities? Because I do understand sometimes things may be hard and things may be tight, but people want these opportunities to also benefit from. What risks do they encounter? Are they likely to encounter as also really of this human trafficking? And how many people do you think are out there taking advantage of human trafficking as an activity?
There are many. See, as we told you, let us contextualize human trafficking in relation to West Nile only. Children, you see them in the streets, they are begging. But somebody somewhere is collecting the revenue. You get me?
Okay.
They are also used in brick making. Somebody somewhere is exploiting this for purpose of making revenue for himself.
Okay.
And then they are got from the village, house girls.
Okay.
And they're in towns.
Okay. Meaning locally, it is an activity happening.
It is happening.
Okay.
And you find the villagers send their children that let me take my child to my relative in town, but this child is taken to the town for purpose of exploitation. It is real and it is happening. Even locally here it is happening.
Okay.
Like for example, child marriage. Our people are very quick. When a girl has got married, they are very quick to go and ask for something from the purported husband. And then others are forced at young age to get married.
Okay.
These things are real and they're happening everywhere in West Nile.
Okay. That's where I need now to bring in Afande and to also let us know how can we protect ourselves from this vice of human trafficking that is said to be happening even locally here, and many people hardly know that it's already part of human trafficking. What should they do to protect themselves and their children from this vice of human trafficking?
Thank you so much. On the 30th of July, the world...
And maybe if you can be able to paint for us an image of how this activity is being also taking place in the region. Are we seeing more numbers?
There are very many cases of trafficking in persons, though not reported to police because of ignorance. But I must assure you, our viewers, that almost all of us have committed this crime. Because, as my legal officer just rightly put it, you see people bringing children from the villages to come and work in the name of being maids, and they are exploited. Others even purport to be marrying them, and in the next 2-3 days they are chasing them. They have exploited them. That is a clear indication that trafficking in persons is a common offense in West Nile. And it is very worse with the emergence of these cities. Arua is one of the cities that have just been born, and is the second largest city in Uganda. The population about 380 million people, of which 73% are youth, unemployed, seeking for jobs. You realize that they are easily trafficked. People may think trafficking is only international. Even a neighbor can traffic a person from the first neighbor to the next neighbor. It can be trafficking. It can happen within society, it can be within villages. It can happen in parishes. It can happen from one sub-country to the other, from one region to the other, and from one country to the other. So it's a very serious offense. I want to share this experience with you. In 2021, some 3 children were trafficked from Kampala, and they were here in Oli Division, kept somewhere in an unidentified place. But thank God, through our vigilance of the community members, they were able to come out and clearly told us that there are some children who are being harbored somewhere by ABCD, and doesn't want these children to be seen by another person. They suspect maybe they were stolen without knowing that they were trafficked. So when someone like me who understood the act of trafficking persons, I simply swung in and were able to rescue these children. And by God's grace, one was 2 years, one was 6, one was 8. And the 8-year-old girl, I asked her, could you be having the number of your mother? And she told me, yes. She has the number of the mother. It was an Airtel number. She mentioned me the number, and I was able to dial the mother's phone, and it went through. Then I told the mother, please, I have your children here, namely so and so here. But are you sure the children are in Arua? I said, yes, they're in Arua. And then I told her, can you talk to your daughter? She talked to the daughter, she couldn't believe it. And this shows to you that very many children have been trafficked in and outside of this region. And even in court of recent, I think it was early this year, some 2 women took a child from Arua here and transported her to Kampala, one of the suburbs of Kampala, in the name of being a housemaid. And from there, this child was exploited. She was even impregnated from there. And the parents came to report the matter to police. We investigated and arrested these persons from Kampala. I brought them here, and they were taken to courts of law. So in brief, the trafficking in persons offense in Uganda and in Arua in particular is very, very eminent. Only that people are not aware that this offense is happening, is being committed in our communities. Okay. Yeah.
You know, you gave an example of somebody being promised to come and work as a maid here. It's happening. I was able to watch a BBC documentary also really that was saying how many girls are being fluked in from, that is, the border districts of Busia into Kenya to go and work in as maids, and that's already trafficking. And also really by our proximity to DRC and South Sudan, I believe we stand the risks of human trafficking, and our daughters also really stand the risk of being trafficked. And not only the girls, what about the boys who are also really being taken away from the country to go and work in as casual laborers elsewhere out of the country? What would be your message if at all somebody gets to realize that now I have been officially trafficked? And in this case, what should I do? I still want to keep it to you.
1, we need vigilance. 2, we need to do what we call positive parenting to our children. Because most of our children, we don't attend to them. They grow the way they want. And therefore, they can do anything that they want. So parents, let's be involved in this. Let's positively bring up our children. Teach them on what to do, what is right and what is not right. That way, we shall be giving them direction. And above all this is happening because of unemployment. And you realize that we, as Ugandans, we have the land, very productive, very fertile. We don't want to work. We want easy money. You go to the streets here. One time I was traveling to Gulu, and the taxi I was traveling happened to pick someone around the water, and I saw 3 youth. After this person boarding the vehicle, they said, "Afazwere diwe." You see?
What the title of the set?
They want easy things, easy gains, quick gains. Someone knows that at this stage, if I stand here, I'll get a vehicle coming from Arua going to Gulu. He's aware, she's aware. And for you, who is a youth, you stand, you don't want to work, you want to wait time. When the tax comes, says, I'm the one who brought this person, I want commission. See? So parents, let's be vigilant. Let's do positive parenting. Let's encourage children to learn to work. If you went to Japan, I had a friend who went to Japan and came back and told me, in Japan, you can hardly give a child a coin and he accepts. Because they always tell them that for us, we are trained to learn, to work, to gain after working. But in Uganda, here it is the opposite.
Okay.
So, my message to the public is, let's learn to positively bring up our children, teach them attitudes of good value, of how to learn to work and how to gain, but not by getting easy things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I will be pausing with you. And now I want to bring back Inspector Siraj. How exactly should these people also really react to when they're in problem? Where can they go to, if at all I now get to realize that I'm having a problem and I've fallen victim of human trafficking? Because we see this happening.
So as we told you, human trafficking is very real. The only option is if you know you're a victim of trafficking, you have to report to police, the local authorities, or if a person knows that such a person is a victim of trafficking, he has to report to the local authorities, like the local government, like NGOs, which are also stakeholders in fight against the human trafficking. So police is a lead agency with the minister with its line ministry, but other stakeholders help police. So police being the first in the fight against the human trafficking can be of importance in investigating those cases and even compiling files and arresting the perpetrators, the offenders for prosecution.
Okay.
And something very important I need to note is the law imposes an obligation on a person who has the knowledge that somebody is a victim of trafficking or has a reasonable belief that such a person is a victim of trafficking, and failure to inform the authorities is an offense under the Act.
Okay.
Punishable by 7 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So who is exactly to fight the vice of human trafficking, apart from police?
Apart from police, as I told you, even you inclusive.
Okay.
Yes.
What am I to do? Because I may not be understanding what exactly
the media, the primary weapon is knowledge. You have to educate the public.
Okay.
And then other stakeholders like the military, because their children are being trafficked to go and fight, like in ADF. You get?
Okay.
These young boys are trafficked there to be trained as rebels to fight. So the military, if it identifies them as victims, then we align them and bring them. They bring them to police for purposes of rehabilitating them.
Okay.
Local governments are also stakeholders. The ISO, they are stakeholders. NGOs are all stakeholders in the fight against the vice.
Okay. Afande, how exactly have you been facing challenges? Because I do understand in any activity there are challenges. What are some of the challenges that people have been encountering in fighting this vice of human trafficking? I'll start with you and they will still add on in relation to the challenges, because I believe challenges may be very many. And as police, what are some of the challenges that you have been facing, and what exactly do you think maybe other stakeholders can do to support you in the fight against trafficking in persons?
Thank you so much. That's a very nice question. There are several challenges we face in enforcing this law. One is ignorance of the people. People are ignorant, that they don't even know that these offenses are happening in their communities. So there's need to sensitize them. of the existence of this crime in the communities. Two, we have had a challenge of people who report these cases. They are being victimized by the perpetrators. For example, I told you in case in point, it was when I rescued 3 children. The person who gave us the information came and told me clearly that, Afande, please, don't let the people know that I'm the one who brought this information here, because the person will kill me. So we have that challenge. People who are supposed to give us the information are being threatened. They are scared. They're fearing for their lives. That's a challenge. 3, the poverty, the biting poverty levels in the communities is a challenge. Because look at in case things like with early child marriages, forced marriage, and so on and so forth. These are because of biting poverty levels. The girl is 14, 15 years, the breasts have begun shooting, and they want to marry them off with the aim, ultimate aim of gaining out of that girl. So because of this, people, because of poverty, they end up giving their girls into marriage. And also the other challenge is the courts that prosecute these cases. They are there, but when it comes to witnesses to come testify in courts of law, these witnesses don't come because they are partly part of this crime. See, these crimes happen within the communities, within our families, within the domestic settings. So you realize that someone to come and say that so and so did ABCD, they fear of their lives. It's a challenge. Maybe another challenge is sometimes the language. See, people come to work in courts here, they're coming from Uganda, they're coming from where? They need to translate this information, they need to translate for them, and sometimes even people fear to appear in courts. People fear. If someone tells you that you are going to testify in courts of law, people fear to come. Another challenge is the distance. Someone who may need a witness to come and testify from court, from Terego, from Koboko, from Yumbe, to come to courts of law to testify. Because of the distance, they may not be able to make it.
Okay.
Yeah. These are some
so
of the challenges
that's basically in relation to the justice system, which is totally for estimate.
Exactly.
What about communication gap? Because still many people don't know about human trafficking, and that's actually why we're here today. We want to make sure that person watching us and listening about human trafficking for the very first time gets to understand it in depth. How has issues of communication and knowledge being affecting the issues of also really human trafficking in Uganda?
1, communication is very, very key if it comes to handling trafficking persons in this country. You realize our people, most of them are illiterate, and they don't know that this offense is happening within the society. So there is a need to sensitize the people, to make them aware that this offense is real, it's happening in our community, it's happening in our homes, in our villages. That's number 1. 2, people need to be empowered to give the information to the police to act. Police were very few. We are about 45,000, am I right? 45,000 legal. We're about, I think, 45,000
around 45
police officers in this country. And look at our people. They produce day and night. Find a man, his pride is having many children as possible, without knowing the implications of this. Very many of our children have been taken out of this country, not through the legal processes, no, not the formal processes. They go informally. And that's why you see someone has gone to Saudi Arabia, they bring the casket home, they bring the body home. They have gone illegally. They have gone through the porous borders of this country. So this offense needs to be understood properly by our people, because it's happening within our societies, and there's a need for police to work with any other person, all the partners, everybody to be brought in. It's a multi-sector approach. It's no longer a police issue. All of us will get involved, you and me, and the media in particular.
Okay. Now, Inspector, what are some of those challenges you have been able to note as a legal officer, also already working with Uganda Police and human rights officer, in terms of violations of these sports rights who are being trafficked out of the country? I find they did mention an example here where people are being taken outside in the countries, not only within, also Africa. We have seen people only moving within Africa, but their bodies still come back in casket. It means that they did not use the right channels. What are some of the challenges that people have been facing in relation to the channels people have been facing moving out of the country?
Is a lack of cooperation from the victims' parents when we are trying to do investigation, or relatives. So because of the gain that comes with it, they tend to ignore our request for help. They tend to ignore our request for help, and that is a major problem that's affecting inquiries into this matter. And then we also have issues concerning culture. But my brother has already highlighted that one deeply. That is one of the major factors causing exploitation, especially in Arua here. It is real. It is happening. These girls, when they get mature, around 15 to 17, they marry them off. Others are forced to marry. That what are you doing at home? You're already mature. You get subjecting them to early marriages for purposes of getting some cows, dowry, and so on. So those things are real and they're affecting us. Another challenge is when these victims come from abroad, they tend to encourage the young people who are also here to go outside, to go and feel the weight from there.
Okay.
And therefore they use illegal means to exit the country. You find your way, go to Sudan, then from Sudan you connect to Arab world, to Yemen. You're working. When you get problems, you start looking for Ugandan embassy from there. That's a major problem. Of recent, in my district, one was lured like that. When the other one came, the other one said, the opportunity is there. Then this one went, he got issues from outside. By the time he returned in a casket, which is very unfortunate.
But people need to work, Afandi. Much as the job, we continue to say jobs are there in Uganda, people feel outside it is better for them to make money. Afandi mentioned quick money. Maybe that's where they think they can easily make that money. So we cannot stop movement of labor, because movement of labor is actually allowed within the law, but the right channels must be used. And that is where I need to understand now what legal procedures and what maybe legal means can somebody use to leave Uganda, and let's say to go and work in Saudi Arabia, to go and work in Egypt. What should they do?
Now, there are licensed companies.
What are those parameters?
There are licensed companies by government that do labor export. These companies, they are licensed by government to do operations and of recruitment of labor and take them to work abroad. So if you use any illegal entity that does not exist, but you are lured through deception and so on, or fraudulent means, and you find yourself abroad, it becomes very difficult to help you and also to track you. It becomes very difficult for the state to track you. But if you use the company, a legally established company registered by the government of Uganda, then the government of Uganda will be in position to task that company to trace you wherever you are working and give a report about you.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, often sometimes we see our daughters, because many of the times I interact with these people who have gone to work out of the country to go and work in Saudi Arabia as kadamas, as they call themselves, as housemates. They come back with a lot of stories where passports are being pulled away from them, where the smartphones are being pulled away from them, to cut off means of communication. If at all I fall under the circumstances, what should I do? Because I'm now in a new country where I do not know the language. I've just reached, my passport has been removed away from me, and my phone as well as being removed away from me to cut off communication. How exactly should I act under some circumstances? Because this is a true narrative we have seen also coming out from these people.
That is now an instance of trafficking.
Yes.
That is now a victim of trafficking. Now, what the only option is you report to the authorities in that country, so that they can be in position to link you to our embassy. And then the embassy will link you to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, then to the Minister of Internal Affairs, then Interpol, police. You get me?
Yes.
That way it will work out very fast.
Okay.
Yes.
What about in countries where we do not have the embassies?
in countries where we do not have the embassies, still report the local authorities.
Okay.
Yes.
That is where we are going to be living with Afande aside. And I want to bring back Afande Anguyo as we just left about 2 minutes to go in for a short commercial break. And that will also be bringing us back into continuing the discussions. And as the viewer, if you have anything that you feel you need to put forward, keep the comment coming through. I can already see one, but you can keep them coming through, and I will be also later on going through them later on. But that is also really where we are going to be also really yet continue with the discussions. And we want to talk about human trafficking, because today we see many people want to travel outside Uganda to go and work in the Middle East countries of Dubai, Saudi Arabia, but they usually have a lot of challenges where they also really are subject to a lot of suffering. What are those dangers of human trafficking in just 1 minute, apart from the total suffering that we see them talking about?
One, death. You've seen what we call human sacrifice. Someone is trafficked and the kidneys removed from him. That's human sacrifice. And they come back, they die slowly, but surely they die. You see? Someone goes alive with his all body parts. He comes back without the kidney.
Minus others.
Minus others. This person now begins languishing slowly and he dies. That's one of the dangers. Two, as government, we lose manpower. When someone goes outside the country, comes to die in Uganda, the government has a role over you. The government, you have a role to play in this country. You see, like our president and the Reichs have done. They went to the bush, they fought the war to make sure we're enjoying this peace in this country. But as you, as a human being, you also have the right and the responsibility to maintain what has been brought to our table. So we, as Ugandans, we are relevant. We need to contribute positively to the development of this country. Why must you go outside and die? Or come back when you're dead, or come back and die in this country here?
Okay.
Okay.
We have seen many of the times our children, our daughters and sisters moving out alive but coming back with a lot of complications. And I must say, this is not a movie, it's not maybe a fictitious issue that we're talking about. It is the reality. We have seen people going outside the country, and many of them also really come back with a lot of problems where their kidneys have been tampered with unknowingly. And that's where we're saying human trafficking is actually dangerous. And that brings us to the first commercial break, where we are going to be taking yet another short commercial break. And after that, we shall be also still talking about issues pertaining human trafficking. And now we want to see what are some of the strategies which Uganda Police and other relevant authorities must take to make sure that this vice is brought down. And what exactly have they been doing? The team will be here to let us know of what exactly they are doing that. And remember to move out of the country. There are mandates and also procedures you should be following. And what are those procedures? They will still be letting us know. And in case you are planning to move outside the country, then you need to wait and also really see how that will be of importance to you. For now, we take this short commercial break and we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here! 28 finalists, one crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Sematimba, the popular Abeka Band, and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here. 28 finalists, one crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Matimba, the popular Abe Kabad and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. We are back with the discussions, and that is in relation to human trafficking. And now we want to understand what some of the strategies also really to make sure this vice is brought down also really is. And you as the viewer, you can still participate in the discussion by letting us know where the gap has been and what we can exactly do. And talking about the gaps, in 2023, we did see a U.S. report also really indicating that also in much as we have the Anti-Trafficking Persons Act, we are still facing challenges also really where police also really in Uganda agreed in 2023 that also really bribes were being taking place. And this is really where issues of bribes had been coming out, that much as other strategies in place, we are still seeing issues of bribes. What can you say about these issues also really of bribes fueling human trafficking?
Thank you so much.
Is it happening or it's not? That is as per the report of the U.S. Embassy in 2023.
But these things are happening in this country, in this world. People are being trafficked through bribes. For example, I think in 2021, we realized that some youth were trafficked from Lango sub-region and Acholo sub-regions in Rwanda and Ramachako here.
Okay.
And they conned them lots of sums of money. The ones we investigated were able to tell us that they took from them 2 million, 1.5, 3 million. That's already bribing.
Okay.
Okay. Someone comes to deceive you, please. There is a job, you're going to work in Arua. You need to pay an initial fee of this, then we shall give you a job. That's already bribing.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what is our role? We need to come as a community, as a team, as a government, that such when they come to tell you that maybe there's a job here, they must come through the rightful channels. There's an S1. If it's a district, if it's a city, there's RSDC. If it's a city, there's RCC. They must be known. They must be known by the leaders. Simply don't go because you're yearning for money. You go through the rightful channels. Go use the authorities. First of all, if someone is a pretender, is a liar, is a thief, he will never come through the government office, through the formal system. He will come in a hidden way. But someone who knows he's doing the rightful thing, he will come through the LCs, he will come through the leaders, and you know that this thing is genuine. So our people out there, when someone comes and says, there is a job in Arua, you come and work in Arua, imagine they deceive you. You even sell your land, you sell your cow, you sell your goat, because you want to go and get a job. What if you sold that cow or goat or land and start business? It will be better. Okay. So basically, that's one of the issues. Two, we need to create awareness in the communities. Okay? As I told you before, that this offense is happening in our communities and people don't know about it. So we need to go on the ground and make them aware that this offense is happening in our communities, in our homes, in our neighborhood. Three, let's be vigilant. 30th of last month was a day dedicated to trafficking persons. Okay, 30th of July, just yesterday, but one.
Okay.
So we realized that that was a way of creating awareness among the community and the members that this offense is in our country, is in our homes, at the neighborhood. People must be aware of it. Three, we should have what we call empowerment of the people economically. Because what is taking us out of this country is we search for greener pastures, we search for gains. But if we empower the people to be able to create their own wealth, as the president rightly puts it, then we shall be able to create a community that's empowered economically, and we shall not be forced to go out of this country in search of jobs or employment. Okay? Then another thing is implementation or the enforcement of the Trafficking in Persons Act as amended. We must implement this. We must enforce it. And enforcing it is not only the police, it's you, me, the media, and everyone should come on board to enforce this act. And the laws are clear. And even the punishments are very, very clear. Like for aggravated, it is life imprisonment. And others maybe 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, and so on, depending on the trying magistrate. So let the laws be implemented. Let them be enforced.
Okay.
Those who are involved in this act, the so-called trafficking persons, it's called a 360-degree investigations, okay? Because it involves a number of people. They're transporters, they are harborers, they are people who harbor them, transport them, and other things. So long as the element of the acts and the means and the purpose is established as per the law must take its course.
Okay, that means police plays an integral role in terms of also really making sure that the laws in relation to human trafficking are protected. But the report also did pin police also really of suspects who are also really apprehended behind also this vice in India to take also the bribes. Why must the victims also involved in human trafficking have trust in the police system? That is where I'm coming back to you, Mr. Fandi.
Why should the victims have trust in police?
Yes, why should they still continue to have the trust in the police system?
The only institution in Uganda mandated by the people of Uganda in the constitution is the Uganda Police Force. And the mandate is to protect life and property. So that constitutional obligation is what should make people trust police.
So what about the allegations of police taking bribe also to eliminate the cases of the allegations in relation to human trafficking?
Now, there is one thing you should know. Bribery is a crime under the Prevention and under the Anti-Corruption Act.
Okay.
It is two-way. You give, you are an offender. You receive, you are an offender. So there are two people who are involved. You get me?
Yes, sir.
So we don't tolerate corruption.
Okay. So as police, do we have legal parameters also to deal with those officers who are behind this, first of all, within themselves? Because we are saying police has the mandate of, first of all, protecting the people's lives and property. But do we have also really those legal parameters that are to deal with the police themselves?
Yes. You see, the Police Act has the disciplinary code of conduct.
Okay.
And that disciplinary code of conduct prescribes very many offenses and their penalties of the extent of dismissal. And one of the offenses is corrupt practices. The moment we found out that you have engaged yourself in corruption and we have information to that effect, we first of all give you a right to be heard. We subject you to investigations, we record your statement and the statement of our witnesses, then we subject you to court. We give you that right to be heard. If we found you guilty, then the appropriate sentence will be given depending on the circumstances.
Okay.
Yes.
So meaning those officers who are still involved under the same saga can be also apprehended individually?
Yes.
Okay.
It's individual responsibility.
Okay.
Yes.
So under this case, if at all I'm having also, maybe I'm sensing that my case is not reaching where it's supposed to be reaching because I reported the case to police, but it's not reaching. What should I do and where could I go to?
You should go to police.
Stay within the same police?
And within the police, there is an institution called the PSU.
Okay.
Then within the police, there is a commander. You get me?
Okay.
Reward and punishment is all vested on the commander.
Okay.
That is the DPC, the RPC, they have the powers.
Okay.
So if you have a complaint against a police officer, under section 71, you have to report. You have to make a written complaint to the RPC or the DPC, depending on whose command that police officer is. If this is under the command of the RPC, you'll make your complaint to RPC. If it's under the command of the DPC, you can make your complaint to the DPC.
Okay.
All the same, you can still make to RPC.
Okay.
In writing. And then from there, RPC can subject that officer to investigation by a unit called the PSU.
Okay.
The PSU will do that investigation. Once they establish that you are culpable, then you will be subject to disciplinary proceedings.
Okay. So many of times we see our young people moving to these companies, of which some of these companies are not genuine. We see them coming out to also really take money from people in terms of promising to take them outside. How do I identify a genuine labor export company?
A genuine labor export company.
Yes. How do I know this one is genuine, this one is authentic, or this one is maybe duping people?
You have to go to company registrar in Kampala, whether this company is registered. And then you have to go to Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development.
Okay.
They have a list of companies that they have authorized to do labor export. So when you are going there, you who wants to go abroad, you must do what we call due diligence to establish the legal status of these companies before you proceed.
Okay. Yes. Now I want to solely pause you at that Afande Siraj. I now want to come back to Inspect Afande Baiga to also let us know of what exactly these people need to do in terms of also really maybe making sure that they protect themselves from being victims of these people who may take advantage of them by also acting as or impersonating as company export dealers, or else those people who act as those maybe dealers, because they are always there to come out and say, I am a dealer of this company. I'm going to be promising, if you give me this money, I promise if you give me this amount of money, I'm going to be taking you outside where you will be earning this amount of money, 2 million, 1.5, and all you need is to only bring for me, let's say 900,000, and I will process your passport, I will get for you the visa. And what exactly are some of the roles of this non-governmental organization? I do understand they have a role to play, because we have some organizations that are there to support in human rights, and I believe they could also be interested in tackling issues of human trafficking. What are some of those activities and then recommendations you would make to those organizations that also really, so that you work together, because we need to work together as also the non-governmental organizations plus the legal office implementing bodies to make sure the citizens are first and foremost protected, because we need to ensure that our citizens are protected, because it is our young people who are losing a lot of money today. I must say this, they're losing a lot of money where people have been duped, because I have really a cousin who actually fell prey to this, where they promised to take him to Afghanistan, but that didn't yield any fruits, because we do understand that he was duped. And all this continued to happen, and just like him, I believe many people are going out through the same. What are some of the roles of these non-government organizations operating in the region, and what should they exactly do in terms of ensuring that the citizens are protected?
Thank you so much. I want to thank, first of all, this media house for giving us this chance to talk to our people. Two, it was on Tuesday this week, we had a meeting, a coordination meeting with all the NGOs in West Nile. I want to thank, first of all, the mayor of Arua City, the city clerk, and the division clerks, who thought it wise to bring on board all the NGOs in West Nile, because most of them are dealing in human rights, dignity of the women, and so on, and empowerment, and so on and so forth. We are able to know and understand what we are doing in this region. And the mayor was very clear. He told them, we must know what you are doing, and they must know that they are complementing government programs. Okay? So, when they are working with us, with the government, we must work in a collaborative manner. We must know what they are doing. They must know what we are doing. They must know their roles. They must know their limits. And through that, we're able to profile what each and every institution is doing. What are their contributions to the government of this country? We're able to assess their performance through monitoring their budgets and so on, and plans. So we are working together with all these NGOs to make sure that our people get services which are friendly to them, without exploitation, without discrimination, and to empower them. Importantly, if you look at the statistics generally, it's the women, the girls, who have been victims of this. I'm not saying that men are not victims, but if you look in terms of percentages, the girls have taken the largest share. Why? These are girls who dropped out of school. These are girls who got pregnant when they're in primary. These are girls who are forced to marry when they are early aged. And when things go wrong, wherever they are, they come to their homes. And when they come to their homes, it is easy for them to be deceived and therefore trafficked. So my advice to the public or our people of West Nile is, let's empower our girl child. Let's empower our girl child who is very, very vulnerable to this vice. After empowering the girl child, let's also look at the boy child. Let's empower all of them. Because if you empower only the girl child, who is going to marry this girl child tomorrow? It's the boy child. So let's empower our children, educationally, economically, socially, and culturally. Let's understand that we have to work to develop ourselves and our country.
All right, thank you, Afade Baiga. On looking through some of the comments that we see here, we have Kaiga Goffin says, I'm watching and following from Kuniro Primary School, that's in Koboko District. And we also do have Pichan Snapdragon. And he says, good morning, everyone. I'm watching live here in Mogadishu, that's in Somalia. And thank you so much for those updates. And still, if you have any comments that you feel you need to put forward still in relation to the issue of human trafficking, please keep the comment coming through, and we shall be letting you know solely of what exactly you need to do in case you have been there facing that challenge of what you need to do then and what exactly needs to be done. And earlier on we were talking about issues of people taking advantage of others, and Afade was able to solely explain more on that. And now I want to bring back to you and ask, what exactly are those people who maneuver their ways within the society and still do people and telling them that I am maybe let's say an agent of this company, and I'll promise you I'll give you this job. If at all you do me this favor of bringing me this amount of money, then I'll process for you the visa, I'll process for you the passport. What message do you have for such people under the law? What kind of punishment do they also risk being also really maybe encountering, as they will be arrested also under the same vice?
Those are recruiters. They are the ones who recruit. Because they come direct to the villages, come convince these parents, and then after recruitment they transport them. Those acts of recruitment, transportation and transfer of those victims itself is already an offense, complete offense, under subsection 3 of section 3 of the Act. And therefore the punishment is 15 years. But if it is by a company or an NGO, because NGOs are registered as companies, so if these offenses are committed by those NGOs or by those companies or registered organizations, the punishment is 1,000 currency points. A currency point is 20,000. So you multiply that by 1,000, you will get around 20 million. That's the offense. I mean, that's the punishment. Other punishments include dissolution of that company, disqualification, and so on and so on. So those are the punishments for recruitment, for transfer of individual, of persons, or victims.
As well as harboring.
Okay. Afade, you have anything to add on the same case, maybe in terms of the punishments that these people risk facing? Because we have today imposters. We cannot run away from this. We have imposters who are lying people that I'm going to give your son this amount of money, give me this money, and I take your child out. We have seen people falling victims to that. What can you say?
Maybe before my brother comes in, there's one thing, there's another offense which is very serious. People must take note of this. If you have a knowledge that a person has been trafficked,
how do you test such a person?
Oh, you have a belief that a person has been trafficked, but you engage the labor of that person. You are committing an offense and the punishment 7 years. And these things are very common down in our villages or cells in these areas in town here.
Okay.
And done by relatives.
Okay.
In the name of taking care of somebody.
Where we see young girls being taken as maids. You're a human trafficker, and if at all you get arrested, then you risk being arrested. Still, I want to come back to you on the same issue of how we can make sure that these people who have been taking advantage of the rest can also really be able to really face the wrath of the law in there. What are some of those punishments? Still, I want you to maybe mention more. Some people who are planning to also do the same will also really desist from that practice.
The law is very clear. The act is very clear as amended. If you do aggravated, it is life imprisonment. And if you, it's not every, see, people participate at different levels. At the recruitment time, transportation, harboring, all that, people participate. It's a 360-degree offense. It involves a number of people. Okay? So the punishment cannot be equal. It depends on the magnitude of your participation in that crime. So for those who are proved to have committed the offense of aggravated, they go for life imprisonment. And others are the discretion of the what? Of the trying judge or magistrate. But all in all, what we want people to understand is that trafficking in persons is real. At your neighborhood, it is there already. You're seeing a girl has been brought from Katrini sub-county to work here as a maid. That's already trafficking.
Okay, meaning there's domestic trafficking.
Domestic trafficking is there in full swing with our neighbors, with our own people. But if I'm to be kind to all of us, everybody has trafficked within our community.
Okay.
In the name of maid, babysitter, what? They have trafficked.
Okay.
But unknowingly. So we urge you, our people, that before the law catches up with you, stay away from that offense.
Okay.
If you want to employ someone as a maid, employ a mature person who's above the age of 18. You pay the person. By the way, exploitation. You can employ someone who's the age of, for example, there are these girls of ours who go to Dubai to go and work in the bars, to be as prostitutes. Do you know, interestingly, the person who has trafficked you will be your boss. And after putting you there in that business, if there is any person who wants to use you, the person comes to the boss that I've seen that one at that corner there. And the person negotiates with the boss.
On your behalf.
On your behalf. And if it's $20, they give you 1 or 2. That's exploitation. So such people, to me, they deserve life imprisonment.
Okay.
Those who even take the body parts of people. If I was, I don't know, if I was the president of this country, I would prefer the firing squad. Let them fire them on spot. Because, sincerely speaking, you go and pick someone's kidney. Where is he was? Such people deserve death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe your final words. I find we just left about 5 minutes, and one thing I managed to pick from you is sexual exploitation under the guise of human trafficking is a crime. Then labor, where we are taking advantage of child labor, is really part of also the crime. And that means you may find yourself committing a number of crimes under one. That is where you also prescribe those punishments. What would be your final message as we get to summarize today's discussions?
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ugandans, join us in the fight of this vice. TIP, that's trafficking persons in this country. Because we need everybody in this country to be alive, to be healthy for the development of this country. Let's work together. The cultural leaders, the religious, the police, NGOs, everybody, let's come back on the board. Let's sit in the same bus to fight this vice together as a team. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Afande Baiga. And now I also want to bring now Afande Atikusraj to also let us know of the same. What would be your final message in relation to the issues pertaining trafficking in persons?
My message, the final message is that trafficking in persons is real. It is happening on the streets. It is happening in our villages, even in our various districts in West Nile. I'm not going to go very far. I want to concentrate on West Nile only, because we have porous borders. More than 200 points, entry points, from Koboko up to Zombo. So these entry points, people use them to sneak in and out illegally, bring people. And therefore I urge the local authorities, especially the LC ones on ground, to be vigilant and give us information such that we nab this problem at the bud. And then I also call upon the stakeholders, like the NGOs, if you seek your help concerning children who have been trafficked, please help us so that we can see a way of reintegrating them with their families and so on. So that's my only message.
All right, with that we come to the end of today's discussions, and I want to thank whoever watched us right from the time it began until this hour of the morning. I want to say thank you so much. And with that, we really come to the end of the discussion. But before we get move off, we have a comment that has just come in. That is from Kumakets Collins. He says, I'm following live from Arua. Thanks for organizing such an advocate information. And that's for us. He is just thanking basically the two of you for coming to make sure that you talk to the nation. And that's really where I want to thank you so much for also really being part of that discussion right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. My name is Farish Majid, and today I was with two gentlemen, men in uniform, and I hope you as the viewer, you had the very best time of your time, and also in relation to issues pertaining trafficking in persons, because it is real. It is not a movie, but it's happening within our society, and that is where we must now join hands and end the vice of trafficking in persons. If at all we are to move, we not also really stop movements, we must ensure that we use the right channels and the right means so that we do not fall in problems. And that is one thing also really at the end of the day, how we are going to be avoiding problems and how we are going to be saving our lives. Because as one of the dangers of trafficking in persons, the two men were also able to explain to us that we risk death where people have been killed, where their organs have been removed, and that is also really quite true. And today when we talk about the Middle East, many people actually fear going into the Gulf region just basically because of stories of their organs being removed. And that is how we have lost a number of energetic young people today, but we are saying we can still avoid that, and all we need to do now is join hands and end the vice of trafficking in persons. And my name is Farish Majid. Have yourselves a very good day, and we also return back shortly. That is all where Feta Emmanuel will be coming through with the news bulletin Lubarati, and after that we shall be having the Lubaramabi, our cultural program, also really where we get to realize of what is happening within our societies, and thereafter many other programs will be coming through. And also really where I want to ask you now as the viewer to keep watching West Nile TV, and all that is to keep you informed, educated, and also in the know of what continues to happen within your society. I'm out. Until next time, have a good day.